All right. All right, guys, welcome. I have my wonderful client here. Her name is Angie, and it hasn't been too long that Angie's been on the team, and she's absolutely crushing it. She had a new load today, and I wanted to bring her on just to inspire you guys on your health and fitness journey. But Angie, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's nice to
Yep.
be here.
Yeah. I'm super excited to chat with you. So, yeah, tell us a little bit more, Angie. Before meeting me and before joining Meraki, where were you in your health and fitness journey?
Um, I actually probably went through about maybe 5 to 6 different programs, like over the span of like 5 years. And I was on all kinds of like apps for
Mm,
losing weight. So for me, my journey with them was more like they'd work a little bit at first, but then I'd always bounce back to my original weight or even
mm,
heavier afterwards. And in more recent news, like in the past 2 years, I've gained a lot of relationship weight.
mm.
And then I felt as though I had kind of like fallen off the wagon and was just so far from my ideal weight and goals. And then this ties into, how I actually came across Meraki, where I was just scrolling through Instagram and I saw like your posts all the time about Meraki. And I also followed you because you had such good recommendations for like Costco finds, and I'm a huge Costco fan. And, and then it just encouraged me, and I knew that I had to reach out to you to learn more. And for me, I think one of the biggest struggles that I'm still working on as of the moment is probably my overall relationship with food and needing to change my mindset with the kind of mindset that I grew up with as a whole, where like family love for food and just how they show love and the idea of needing to always clean the entire plate and not leave a single crumb,
I know.
and then just the abundance of food that's
Yeah.
all around me. So yeah, it's definitely a mindset shift
Uh-huh.
where I was really humbled and I've had to
Mm.
learn to undergo that mindset shift.
I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear, Angie. Yeah, like tell us a little bit more. Like when you did all these programs before, and like you said you had like the apps and stuff, like you would have the weight gain, unfortunately, afterwards. Like
Mhm.
what do you feel like led to that? And what wasn't something that you feel like could have been carried over after like those previous programs that led to this weight gain?
I think it was to do with potentially the food,
Mm,
the different food that I was exposed to, or just the meal plans that I had. They were really rhetoric, really
mm,
generic, and it was just and I was trying to track all my calories and I was trying to do all of these things, but at the same time, I guess I also didn't fully have that motivation there. And even though I had motivation during the time, like right after like the time period of, like let's say like 3 months or 6 months or even working towards a year, after that time period, I just sort of fell off the wagon because it's like, oh, um, I don't have a plan anymore. But this is
mm,
actually like being a Meraki so far, it's actually been like a mindset change. Like I've had to change so many things in my life. Like not in a bad way, but I've learned to be so much more vocal about how to go about my weight loss journey. And I've gotten so much support. I definitely say that it's to do with the community, the support, and definitely the mindset shift again.
I'm really happy to hear that, and it's coincidence you mentioned that, Angie, because I was just chatting with somebody earlier today, and she said like one of the biggest things for her is just like changing her relationship with food and her perspective towards her health and fitness and the mindset, like what you said. I always say like the mindset shift is the most powerful, right? And I'm really glad we're having this conversation. And you're telling me this, Angie. That's amazing. That's the most powerful thing. So you should be
Mhm.
proud of yourself.
Yeah, I am. I am. I'm proud of
Yeah.
myself, and
Good.
I tell people that I am proud of myself. It's definitely something that I've always been a little bit more introverted, but it's a win, and it motivates me to tell others about it.
Proud of you. Good stuff. And it's just a start too. So tell us a little bit more. I know like, before the chat we're catching up. You mentioned about like blood work and all these like good things that's been happening. Can you share a little bit more if you don't mind?
Yeah, no, of course. So in the past, I did get under, I'm pretty scared of needles, but I
Same
did
here.
undergo blood work just because I had experienced another situation where I had to get my blood work done.
Hmm.
And at the time, I was a little concerned because I noticed that there's this chart color, there's this colored chart that ranks you in terms of like how healthy you are and how healthy your blood is. I remembered that about like a year ago, my charts were pretty much showing like closer to the yellows, like pretty much in the
Mm,
yellow or like closer to the yellows. But recently, I had to get blood work done again, and I actually just got my results yesterday, and I looked at them, and everything's in the green. So I think that's another win. Like my blood is strong. I probably would say I've been told that I might be a perfect transfusion like donor,
wow.
but again, I'm very scared of needles. So another thing that I would have to work towards. Another thing I would have to work towards on my own time. But
That's
even
great.
when I was getting my blood drawn, the nurse was asking me, for example, what my
The
base heart
resting
rate
heart
would,
rate.
yeah,
Yep.
what my resting heart rate would usually be, and they were surprised. They even surprised me because they said I was like in the low 50s, like mid 40s. So they were like, "Are you like an athlete? Do you train? Like, do you work out?" And I was just like, "No, I've just been on this new training regimen
Yep.
program."
Yeah.
Like kind of
Mhm.
caught me off guard, but definitely another win.
Uh, Very, very good. Very good. And it's so great, Angie, because like it's not been very long. It's been about 6 or so weeks.
Yeah.
Um, and you hit a new low today. It's like I believe
Hmm.
16.2 pounds that we've lost in 6 weeks. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
really
doing you
good.
proud.
Yeah.
I'm doing you proud.
Yeah, you definitely are. You definitely are. Yeah. Anything else you want to share? Like, and it's so early, and this is just a start. Like, and I know, like in the future, we're gonna have a chat again, and it's gonna be like triple the amount that I've done, right? But like, how else are you already feeling like from these changes?
Not only am I feeling positive, I think with the mindset shift or
Mhm.
change in mindset, I've definitely learned that I can apply the same level of motivation across like several different areas of my life. Like, for example, in sports, I've recently told you that I'm attempting snowboarding nowadays. At work, like working harder, putting myself in potentially promotional positions, right? Just putting yourself out there, and within family, like in my personal life, just being more vocal and being more very like straightforward about what it is I'm working towards.
Yep.
And then surprisingly getting that positive feedback, like, and that result of them providing that support. It's like I I don't know if it's sad or if it's a good thing, but like when I go to those family parties now, they're like, Angie, you need to try this food. And then I said, okay, I can have like one. They're like, oh, maybe more. And I'm like, I am dieting. Like I am actually working on losing weight. And they're like, okay, no problem. You know what? Next time maybe I'll make something that's more healthy and
Yeah.
I'll include that in one of the dishes. So I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh, great. Yeah,
Awesome.
it's
Awesome.
really nice.
And it's good. Like you're becoming the new version of yourself, and you're standing your own ground, and like what's best for you, and you're implementing the flexible approach too, because Angie and I, she tells me like she'll still have her times where she's having family gatherings and eating out, and she's making it work. So ultimately that's my vision I want to pass on to you and everyone else, is like you can live this lifestyle, Angie. You don't have to do like you mentioned, rhetorical and repetitive diets, and I'm really glad to
Hmm.
hear things are working out for you, honestly.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I know it's just early on, but I'm excited to see what else is going to happen, like how much more can I lose?
Exactly. Good stuff. As like the last message for like people that, maybe are listening to this, Angie, and they're obviously finding this really inspiring, but th they themselves are struggling, right? Maybe they've gone through what you've been going through before,
Mhm.
like, trying many different things. They find they really struggle with like the relationship with food. And what is your advice for them, Angie?
Definitely, it's to do with your
Mm,
support network and being vocal. It is a humbling moment, I would say. It's definitely humbling. Like my analogy here would be snowboarding. It's so, so hard to begin because you fall and you fall and you fall and you get hurt. And I can honestly attest that there were moments where I was just ready to give up, where like with snowboarding, right? It's the same kind of mindset. You might cry, you might feel like things things can't get any better. But then when you really just apply yourself, you got to get up and you just got to keep going, because while snowboarding is really hard to learn, it's easy to get started eventually and master.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
okay, I'm not mastery level yet. Okay, but it's easier once you build that confidence and you get more vocal about it and you're willing to put in that effort and willing to put in that work. So I definitely recommend that you shouldn't really be shy about it. It's hard. It really is hard, breaking out of that shell, but it's definitely something to work towards.
Mhm. There's always struggle before success.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Exactly.
and it's good. And the biggest thing, and I was just having a chat with somebody else earlier today and said the same thing. It's like your guys' mindset is what separates you. And that's the most powerful thing you can possess. And it's you always had it, Angie, but it really seems like this program really brought it out of you, like the true Angie, right? And
Oh yeah. Yeah.
we're just leveling up. So like this is powerful stuff. Like for you to, have these shifts internally, like, the internal shifts are the most powerful thing. Once you can have the internal shifts, everything externally will happen to you.
Mhm.
For anyone listening to that, like, take that piece of advice. Is probably the best advice you can have. It's not about just like the training plan or the nutrition. It's like the internal shifts like that Angie's went through and she's still going through, right? She recognizes that there is struggle and she's not as scared of it. Like she said with the analogy of snowboarding. And I really like that. Like face your fears and do things that are, somewhat uncomfortable. It's good for you. And you can get to the next side where you want to go. So wonderful stuff. That was very inspiring, Angie. I
Thank
appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I
Yep.
appreciate everything that you've been teaching me so far too,
Yep.
These aren't lessons that I had to, learn by myself. You were definitely there guiding me thus far. So I do appreciate it. And we're
Absolutely.
just beginning.
We're,
We're
we're,
just beginning.
we're just beginning, Angie. Yep. So I
Yeah.
know, like, once again, this is just the start. Like in a few months, several months, it's going to be a much bigger goal, and I can already see it with you, Angie, without a doubt. So thank you so much, Angie. It's nice to have you here today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I
And
appreciate it.
for anyone else who's listening, I 100% recommend Meraki for those who are ready and willing to see that positive change in their personal lives and their weight loss goals.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks so much, Angie. Yep.
You're
All right.
welcome.
Yep.
Bye.
We'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye.